Good morning, guys. This is Ty from MasterKicks.com. Today is Monday morning, the 20th of January, and the Adidas Yeezy Yeshaya is coming out in about 5 days on the 25th. So I wanted to figure out how many pairs were made. But before I get into it, let's talk a little bit about the shoe itself. Yeshaya. I mean, when I saw that, the name caught my attention. So I went on Adidas and I said, okay, let me see what Adidas is saying about it. I went there and they had no information about the backstory, nothing. I went in a couple of websites. I went on Sneaker News. They wasn't talking about what he meant. And then finally, I'm like, you know what? Let me just go on Google and look up what Yeshaya means. Yeshua is a Hebrew name, and it means God is salvation. Now, here's my thing: like, if guys gonna make this kind of shoes, then you gotta talk about what your shoe means, especially when it's a shoe that has like this kind of a meaning behind it. You can't just drop a shoe and expect people to like dig it. Some people don't have time to do it, so they just wanna. It's a Yeezy, everybody want it, but I think Kanye West has a plan. He wants to tell a story, but he has to also make sure that he educated his audience a little bit more about his shoes. Maybe if he had said Adidas Yeezy 350, God is salvation, that would catch more people's attention. Or maybe that might alienate some people. Some people may not want to hear about God, so they want to leave that shoe. So for me, it means a lot to me because guess what? Like, I feel like sneakers or sneaker culture is an extension of what we love passionately. And for me, like I said in my article, to live is Christ and to die is a gain. So Yeshaya to me means everything. For without God, there is no me and there is no you. You can deny that if you want. I actually released an article which I talked about how God exists objectively. But what I want to convey this morning is without Christ, there is no eternal life. There is no salvation. So God is indeed salvation. For me, Yeshaya means everything. God is salvation. He is my salvation. So if you want to know more about that, I will invite you to read this article here, where I said it doesn't matter what you believe or if even if you're sincere. Is that true? Like this is a study by R.C. Sproul. The late R.C. Sproul. He talks about why it's important to understand uh, what you believe and why, because there is we have a lot of relative truths, but you need to know what's the absolute, and that's important. So to me, to live is Christ and to die is a gain. So now that I've talked about that, let's talk about the numbers on the shoe. So to do that, we're just gonna go on my slideshow here. We're gonna talk about what we have in place. Now, I first did a quick run on stores allocated. So unlike the other models, like the number of stores this time was pretty small because I checked and I don't think anybody overseas is getting it. Now, I may not be right, but per my investigation, nobody beside stores in the USA are getting the shoe. So I thought, well, if that's the case, then that's going to be a little limited, but I don't think it's the case. Because when I looked, the first thing we want to know is this, like the Adidas stores. We have Adidas in Chicago, that's a flagship store. We have one in Los Angeles, big cities, and New York, 2 stores. Those are the 4 stores that I know that are confirmed. If you can double check it on Adidas store finder app if you want. You can just go and cross check this. Now, there's some other retailers, and Footlocker is one of them. Champs is one of them. Footaction, Eastbay Online, Finish Line, JD Sport, Yeezy Supply. Now, the thing is this, the hardest part about this projection is always the assumptions. So the only way we'll be able to come up with some plausible assumption is by looking at the retail stores and what kind of data they provide. So I went in and checked Footlocker and Footaction and Champs map. So when I checked Footlocker, this is what I came up with. And as you can see, when I counted, I do a little bit of estimate here. It's about 200 locations that I get the shoe. And it's basically going to be reservation app. So it's not going to be first come, first serve. So you already know that's going to be limited. The next thing is Footaction. Footaction is about 30 plus stores, maybe 35, 32, something like that. And then I checked Champs. Champs has about 65 stores. So this is Champs. So the next thing is this. Now we have to set up the assumptions. So to set up the assumptions, I'm thinking the Footlocker, Champs, and Footaction, they'll get about 1/3 of the total production. And I gave each of those places 60 stores per Footlocker, 48 per Champs, and then 48 per Footactions. And then I'm going to give an additional 1/3 of the total the physicals are getting. In addition to that, we're going to add another 1/3 to the online allocation. And then we're going to give Eastbay about 1/3 of what the online allocation is getting in addition. It's a little bit complicated here, but you get what I'm saying. And then we're gonna run the numbers. So for Footlocker, it's just simple arithmetic. 200 times 60, we get 12,000. For champs, 65 times 48, 3120. Footaction 38 and 30 times 48, that's 1440. Online allocation, we just take all these numbers divided by 3. I came up with 5520. And then to get eSpay, I did 5520 by 3. We got 1840. And to get the total, I add them all up together. You come up with 23,920. And then to get the grand total, I did 23,920 times 3, which is 71,760. Again, I may be totally wrong because, look, this is assumptions. I'm giving Footlockers 60 pairs. They may be getting 24. They may be getting 30. You can play with the numbers if you want. You know, that's the hardest part about this project is always understanding how many pairs are they going to get. But when you look at what the shoe is going for in the aftermarket, then you can tell like it's not going to be too limited. So 71 to me is not too bad. So again, I want you to know I don't work for the brand. I'm just giving you a picture. Stick to that. Don't quote me on any of this stuff. Just use this to help you make your buying decision. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the resale value. So to do the resale value, you know what? I'm going to quit the screen. I'm going to show you exactly what I have over here. I did it by size, but also did it by time per time. So when I collected the data, you can see is it spreading like this, right? We're going to interpret that in a minute. So you can see that in earlier, in like January the 6th, some sold for 301, others for 597. That's on the 7th. And then you have on the 10th, you have 639. You have a few outliers, but for the most part, everything is like running around between 320 and 340. So when I went back on my, let's go back on my slide here. So the average price based on all the entries is $342. That's about 46.6% above the shoe retails price. You know, but that can be misleading a little bit because there's some outliers. And I'll show you the outliers here. 395, 397, all the way up to 639. Those are all outliers. So anything that falls in that category is an outlier. So that means it's not very likely. So what I did was I took away the outliers and I recalculated my average. Came up with anything between 324 and 331. So that's how much you're looking at. If you're trying to resell a sneaker, you can expect it to sell it for 324 and 331. But it's also important to mention that by the time the shoe releases, there's certainly going to be a 5 to 10% decrease in the value. So you can even take this number and then divide it by and take away another 10%. So you're looking at the lower 300s. So anything like 310, that's what you're looking at. But there's good news. We have some average per size. Now look, a size 4, the size 6.5, size 10, size 14, those are probably the most interesting sizes. I'm going to show you a couple of things here. Now go back to this one. If you see here, this is oh no, that's the time. I'm not interested in that. Come on, get out of here. Yeah, let's see this one. Yeah, this is the one I want. Let me make that a little bigger. You see, that's a size 4. You can see size 4s are doing pretty good. Like 2 4s here, 354, 474. Anything in size like this one, that's a size 6.5. Those two are doing pretty good. That's pretty decent, if you ask me. You see all the size 6.5s, they're doing pretty good. Anything between 330 all the way up to like 639. I would say aim at those sizes. Anything 8, right around like 300 and 426. You see, but once you go a little bit further down, the 8 aren't doing that great. Now size 10, there was a couple of good size 10s. So, but scarce sizes like 14. See, the 14 is pretty interesting. You're looking at least anything between 314 and 520. So I'm gonna aim at these sizes, and these sizes because they have the highest peaks. So those are the sizes that you want to focus on if you really want to shoot. All right. Now this is it, guys. I don't have much to talk about. You can go back on the website and just read the entire presentation if you want. But there's a couple other things that I wanted to mention here this morning. Let's go back on my website real quick. We're gonna do that real quick here. Go here and then there's a couple of things that if you, let's say you are a guy that sells on eBay, or you are a retailer, minor or major retailer, you're looking to work for the company. I released the takeover, and I will explain that to you in a minute. What I did was I explained how House of Kicks can help your business benefit from users that I get and the kind of content that I release. So if you want to read about it, I would invite you to read the entire article here. It goes into details about it. Okay. Again, thanks for watching. This is Ty from Master Kicks, and stay tuned for more stuff like this. And by the way, if you want to buy the Yeezy now, I have some links on my website for retailers that are actually selling the shoes right now on eBay. Some third-party sellers. You can go ahead and click on this link here. It's going to lead you to those retail those reseller stores, so you can get it if you don't want to wait till Saturday. All right. Again, thanks for watching. This is Ty from Master Kicks, and stay tuned for more stuff.